My name is Eleanor. I'm 62 years old, and this is the story of how my daughter-in-law tried to kill me at Thanksgiving and how I made sure she regretted it by Christmas. If you're new here, please subscribe and turn on notifications. This story involves hospital stays, private investigators, and a holiday dinner no one will ever forget. And to my loyal listeners, thank you for being here through these wild journeys. Now, let me take you back to 8 months ago, when my son brought home the woman who would try to poison me. My son Andrew is my only child. I was 40 when I had him, a late life surprise after years of thinking it wouldn't happen. My husband, Robert, and I had made peace with being childless. We'd built a good life together. Robert was a successful architect. I was a senior editor at a publishing house. Then Andrew came along and changed everything. We doted on him. Maybe too much. But he was our miracle. Andrew grew up to be everything we'd hoped. Smart, kind, ambitious. He went to Columbia for undergrad, Harvard for his MBA. He works in private equity now, making more money at 32 than Robert and I combined ever made. Robert passed away 3 years ago. Heart attack, sudden and devastating. Andrew was there for me through all of it. He's been my rock ever since. About a year ago, Andrew started dating someone. Her name was Vanessa, 28 years old, stunning, from a very wealthy family. Her father owns a chain of luxury car dealerships across the East Coast. Andrew was smitten. "Mom, she's incredible," he gushed during our weekly phone calls. "Beautiful, sophisticated, ambitious. I think she might be the one." I was happy for him. My son deserved love. 6 months into their relationship, Andrew brought Vanessa to meet me. We met at a nice restaurant in Manhattan. I'd taken the train in from Connecticut, excited to meet the woman who'd captured my son's heart. Vanessa was exactly as Andrew described. Gorgeous, polished, designer everything. The kind of woman who looked like she'd never had a bad hair day in her life. But there was something in her eyes when she looked at me. Something cold. "It's so nice to finally meet you, Mrs. Morrison," she said, her smile not reaching her eyes. "Andrew talks about you constantly. Please call me Eleanor. And I'm thrilled to meet you. Andrew seems very happy." "Oh, he is," Vanessa said, placing her hand possessively on Andrew's arm. "I take very good care of him." Throughout dinner, I tried to connect with her. Asked about her work. She was a consultant for her father's business. Asked about her interests, shopping, yoga, traveling to exclusive destinations. Every answer was superficial. Every interaction felt performative. But Andrew was beaming. So I smiled and nodded and told him afterward that she seemed lovely. "She's nervous," he explained. "She really wants you to like her. She knows how important you are to me." I didn't tell him what I'd noticed. The way she'd interrupted me multiple times when I was speaking. The way she'd ordered the most expensive items on the menu without asking if we were splitting the bill. The way she talked about upgrading Andrew's apartment, his wardrobe, his car. I told myself I was being overprotective. No woman would ever be good enough for my son in my eyes, right? 3 months later, Andrew proposed. "Mom, I did it. I asked her last night at Le Bernardin. She said yes." "That's wonderful, honey. Congratulations. I want you two to get to know each other better. She's going to be your daughter-in-law. I need my two favorite women to be close." He sounded so happy. How could I tell him I had reservations? Over the next few months, Vanessa and I had several bonding lunches at Andrew's insistence. Each one was more uncomfortable than the last. Vanessa would ask pointed questions about my finances. "Andrew mentioned you still work part-time. Is retirement not an option? I can't imagine having to work at your age." She'd make comments about my appearance. "You know, Eleanor, I have an amazing dermatologist. She could really help with. Gestures vaguely at my face. She'd humble brag constantly. Daddy's giving us the Hamptons house as a wedding gift. It's only 4 bedrooms, so kind of cozy, but it'll do for weekend getaways. But the worst moments were when she'd talk about Andrew like he was a possession she'd acquired. I'm completely remaking him, she said during one lunch. New wardrobe, new haircut, new friends. The old Andrew was so pedestrian, but I'm polishing him up. Andrew has always been wonderful exactly as he is, I said carefully. Oh, Eleanor. She laughed. That's such a mom thing to say. But let's be real, he needed work. I'm doing you a favor, honestly, making him into someone worthy of our social circle. I excused myself to the bathroom and cried. My son, my brilliant, kind, accomplished son, was being treated like a fixer-upper project. But Andrew was happy. He was in love. Who was I to interfere? The wedding was set for next June. Vanessa's family was paying for everything, a detail she mentioned constantly. Since MY family is covering the costs, I think it's only fair that I have final say on the guest list, she said during a wedding planning session I'd been invited to. Of course, Andrew agreed immediately. Which means Vanessa pulled out a list. I've had to make some cuts. Your mother's side of the family. There are just too many of them. We'll keep it to just Eleanor and maybe 1 or 2 others. Wait, what? I looked at Andrew. You have 15 cousins who've known you since birth. The venue has a capacity limit, Eleanor, Vanessa said sweetly. We have to prioritize. And honestly, Andrew's extended family is so provincial. They won't fit in with our other guests. Andrew, I looked at my son, waiting for him to stand up for his family. It's her day, Mom. If Vanessa wants to keep it intimate, that's okay. I went home that day and realized something. I was losing my son. Not to marriage, to Vanessa's control. But I told myself it would be okay. Once they were married, once the wedding stress was over, things would settle down. I had no idea how wrong I was. And I had no idea that within 6 months, Vanessa would literally try to kill me. The engagement had been strained, but I'd kept my concerns to myself. Andrew was an adult. He'd made his choice. Then came Thanksgiving. Vanessa insisted on hosting at the apartment she and Andrew had just moved into together, a massive 2-bedroom in Tribeca that her father had helped them buy. It's time I show everyone what a proper Thanksgiving looks like, Vanessa announced. Not like those chaotic family gatherings Andrew grew up with. I bit my tongue. Our Thanksgivings had been warm and full of love. Chaotic, yes, but beautiful. Vanessa sent out a detailed email about the event. Dress code, elegant casual. Arrival time, precisely 2 p.m., no exceptions. Contribution, no need to bring anything. I have everything under control. I arrived at 2 p.m. exactly, carrying a bottle of nice wine despite her instructions. The apartment was immaculate, magazine perfect. It looked like no one actually lived there. Vanessa answered the door in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage. Eleanor, you're on time. How punctual. She air-kissed me. Is that wine? Oh, we have plenty, but sure, we can use it for cooking or something. My wine was a $60 bottle, but I smiled and handed it over. Andrew appeared, hugging me tightly. Mom, happy Thanksgiving. He looked good but tired. There were circles under his eyes. How are you, sweetheart? Great. Really great. Just busy with work and wedding planning. Vanessa's been incredible. Vanessa's parents arrived next. Her father, Richard, was exactly what you'd expect. Loud, brash, constantly mentioning his wealth. Her mother, Patricia, was a cold woman with dead eyes and too much plastic surgery. "So you're the mother-in-law," Patricia said, looking me up and down. "Andrew's told us so much about you. All good things, I hope. Non-committal. Vanessa says you live in Connecticut. How quaint." Dinner was served at precisely 3 p.m. The table was gorgeous, fine china, crystal glasses, elaborate centerpiece. But it felt sterile. There was none of the warmth of the Thanksgivings Andrew had grown up with. Vanessa had made everything herself, or so she claimed. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, green beans, cranberry sauce, rolls. "I'm such a perfectionist," she said, laughing. "I couldn't let caterers handle our first Thanksgiving as a family. Everything had to be made with love. The food looked beautiful. We went around the table saying what we were thankful for. Richard was thankful for another record-breaking year in sales. Patricia was thankful for our family's continued success and social standing. Vanessa was thankful for finding Andrew and being able to elevate him to his full potential. Andrew was thankful for Vanessa and my mom, the two most important women in my life. I was thankful for Andrew's happiness and health. Vanessa's smile tightened when I said that. We began eating. The turkey was dry. The stuffing was bland. The mashed potatoes were lumpy. For someone who'd bragged about being a perfectionist, the food was mediocre at best. But I ate it politely, making appropriate compliments. About 20 minutes into the meal, I started feeling off. My stomach cramped. My head felt light. "Eleanor, are you all right?" Andrew asked. "You look pale." "I'm fine, just another cramp, sharper this time." "Maybe you ate too fast," Vanessa said sweetly. "At your age, digestion can be tricky." 10 minutes later, I was in their bathroom, violently ill. Everything I'd eaten was coming back up. My stomach cramped so hard I thought I might pass out. Cold sweats, dizziness, shaking. Andrew knocked on the door. "Mom? Mom, should I call an ambulance?" I'm okay. Just give me a minute." But I wasn't okay. The room was spinning. I couldn't stop vomiting. My heart was racing irregularly. I unlocked the door and collapsed. The next thing I remembered clearly was waking up in a hospital room. Andrew was sitting beside my bed, holding my hand, looking terrified. "Mom, thank God. You've been unconscious for 6 hours. What happened?" "Food poisoning. Severe. The doctor said another hour and you might have—" His voice broke. "You might have died. Food poisoning. A doctor came in. Mrs. Morrison, you're very lucky your son brought you in when he did. Your potassium levels were dangerously low. You were severely dehydrated. We had to pump your stomach. Was it the turkey? We're not sure. But whatever it was aggressive. Have you ever had a reaction like this to food before?" "Never." "Well, you're stable now. We'll keep you overnight for observation." Vanessa and her parents had apparently left shortly after the ambulance arrived. Emergency at one of Richard's dealerships. But Vanessa did send flowers the next day. Cheap grocery store flowers with a card that read, "So sorry you got sick. Must have been something you ate before you arrived. Hope you feel better. XOXO. Something I ate before I arrived." She was already rewriting the story. "I spent 2 days in the hospital. Lost 8 pounds. Felt weak for a week after. But here's what bothered me most. No one else got sick." Andrew called to check. Vanessa and her parents were fine. I felt a little queasy, but nothing major. "You were the only one who really got hit." The only one. I started thinking about that meal, going over every detail. Vanessa had served everyone from the same platters. We'd all eaten the same food. Except except for one thing. When she'd served my plate, she'd made it herself, brought it directly to me from the kitchen. Eleanor, you get the first plate. Guest of honor. Everyone else had served themselves from the platters on the table. My plate had been prepared separately, in the kitchen, where no one could see what she was doing. I tried to push the thought away. It was paranoid, crazy, but it wouldn't leave me. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, I was having lunch with my friend Margaret, a retired nurse. I told her what happened. Margaret, is it possible to poison just one person at a dinner where everyone's eating the same food? She looked at me carefully. Why are you asking? I explained everything. The separate plate. Being the only one who got sick. The severity of my reaction. Margaret was quiet for a long moment. Eleanor, food poisoning from bacteria affects people differently based on immune systems and portion size. But what you're describing, the severity, the isolated victim, it sounds less like food poisoning and more like poisoning. You think someone deliberately. I think you should consider the possibility. There are substances that could be added to food that would cause exactly what you experienced. And if someone prepared your plate separately, she didn't have to finish. But why? Why would Vanessa want to hurt me? You tell me. What would she gain from you being sick? Or dead? I thought about it. If I died, Andrew would inherit everything I have. My house, my savings, my life insurance, and Vanessa would have Andrew all to herself. No mother-in-law to deal with. No one questioning her control over him. I sound insane, I said. Maybe. Or maybe you sound like a woman whose instincts are trying to tell her something. That night, I made a decision. I was going to find out the truth. I didn't tell Andrew about my suspicions. How could I? Son, I think your fiancé tried to poison me. Wasn't exactly a conversation I could have without proof. Instead, I hired a private investigator. His name was Thomas Brennan, former NYPD detective, now working private cases. Margaret recommended him. Mrs. Morrison, he said during our first meeting, what you're suggesting is serious. If someone deliberately poisoned you, that's attempted murder. I know how it sounds, but I need to know if I'm wrong. And if I'm not wrong, then we build a case. Tell me everything. I did. Every interaction with Vanessa. Every red flag. The Thanksgiving dinner. The separate plate. Being the only one sick. Thomas took notes, his expression neutral. First thing we need is medical evidence. You were hospitalized. Yes. I need you to request your complete medical records. Everything, lab results, toxicology screens, doctor's notes. I got the records. Thomas reviewed them with the toxicologist he worked with. 3 days later, he called me. Eleanor, your blood work showed traces of something interesting. High levels of a compound consistent with ipecac syrup. Ipecac? That's the stuff that makes you vomit. Exactly. It used to be used for accidental poisonings to induce vomiting and clear the stomach. It's not commonly prescribed anymore because it's dangerous. In high doses, it can cause severe dehydration, electrolyte imbalance, cardiac issues. Like what I experienced. Yes, the compound breaks down quickly, which is why it barely showed up in your tests. But it was there. Can you prove Vanessa gave it to me? Not yet. But now we know what to look for. Let me dig into her background. See if there's anything there. Over the next month, Thomas investigated Vanessa's life with meticulous detail. What he found was disturbing. Vanessa had been engaged before. Twice. The first engagement ended when the man's mother had a sudden illness and was hospitalized. The man called off the wedding shortly after, citing concerns about Vanessa's behavior toward his mother. The second engagement ended when the man's elderly father fell mysteriously ill at a family dinner Vanessa had cooked. The father recovered, but the man ended the relationship. 2 previous relationships. 2 instances of family members becoming mysteriously ill after eating Vanessa's cooking. This is a pattern, Thomas said. She targets mother figures or parental figures who she sees as obstacles. Can you prove she poisoned them? No. Neither family filed charges. They just ended the relationships and moved on. But the pattern is there. Thomas also discovered that Vanessa had purchased Ipecac syrup online 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. The order was shipped to her office. She tried to be smart, Thomas explained. Didn't have it delivered to her home. But the credit card trail is there. That's proof. It's evidence. But it's not airtight. A good lawyer could argue she bought it for legitimate reasons. We need more. What do you suggest? Thomas smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. We give her another opportunity. And this time we're watching. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Christmas was approaching. Vanessa announced she'd be hosting again. It's going to be even better than Thanksgiving, she told Andrew. I've learned so much. And Eleanor will be there, of course. I want to make up for her getting sick last time. When Andrew told me, my blood ran cold. You don't have to go, Mom. If you're worried about getting sick again. No, I said carefully. I'll be there. I wouldn't miss it. Because Thomas and I were ready. We had a plan. I would wear a hidden camera, a small device disguised as a piece of jewelry. I'd also carry a phone with a recording app running in my purse. Thomas would be stationed outside the building with audio equipment, listening to everything in real time. If Vanessa prepared my plate separately again, I'd find an excuse to go to the bathroom. I'd either swap my plate with someone else's, or dispose of the food entirely. Then we'd have the plate tested. If she does this again, Thomas said, we'll have video evidence, audio evidence, and physical evidence. That's enough to press charges. Christmas Eve arrived. I dressed carefully. The camera was a small pin on my collar. The phone was recording in my purse. I rang the doorbell at precisely 6 p.m. Vanessa answered, looking stunning in a red designer dress. Eleanor, Merry Christmas. Come in, come in. She hugged me. I smiled and returned the embrace, my skin crawling. The apartment was decorated beautifully. A huge tree in the corner. Expensive decorations everywhere. Andrew appeared, kissing my cheek. Merry Christmas, Mom. You look great. We settled in the living room with drinks. Vanessa's parents were there again, as oblivious as ever. Dinner was announced at 7 p.m. I made prime rib this year, Vanessa said proudly, with all the trimmings. Eleanor, you'll love it. I was extra careful about food safety this time. She smiled at me. It was the smile of a predator. We sat down. The table was even more elaborate than Thanksgiving. And just like Thanksgiving, Vanessa said, Eleanor, I prepared your plate specially. You're the guest of honor. She disappeared into the kitchen. My heart pounded. The camera was recording. Thomas was listening. Vanessa returned with a beautiful plate of food. Prime rib, roasted vegetables, Yorkshire pudding, mashed potatoes. She set it directly in front of me with a flourish. There you go. Made with extra love. Everyone else served themselves from platters on the table. I looked down at my plate. It looked delicious, and possibly lethal. Thank you, Vanessa. This looks wonderful, but I need to use the restroom before we eat. All that wine. I laughed. Oh, of course, Vanessa said. I stood, leaving my plate, and walked to the bathroom. Once inside, I texted Thomas. She did it again. Separate plate. Getting ready to switch. His response, perfect. Proceed with plan. I flushed the toilet for authenticity, washed my hands, and returned to the dining room. But something had changed. My plate was gone. Eleanor. Vanessa called from the kitchen. Your plate got a little cold while you were gone. I'm just warming it up for you. Shit. She'd taken it back. I couldn't swap it now. She returned with the plate. The same plate, definitely the same food, but slightly warmer. Here you go. I had no choice. I had to pretend to eat. I picked up my fork, cut a small piece of prime rib, and brought it to my mouth. Wait, Andrew said suddenly. Mom, before you eat, I want to make a toast. He stood, raising his glass. Thank God. A delay. To family. To love. And to my mom, the strongest woman I know. Everyone raised their glasses. I raised mine, my food temporarily forgotten. We drank. Now eat, Vanessa said cheerfully, before it gets cold again. I looked down at my plate, at the food that might contain poison, and I made a decision. I took a bite. The prime rib tasted fine. Normal. Delicious, even. I ate a few more bites, watching Vanessa watch me. Then I felt it. That familiar cramping. That dizziness. Oh God, she'd done it again. But this time I was ready. I'm not feeling well, I said, standing abruptly. I need some air. Are you okay? Andrew stood, concerned. Just a little dizzy. I'll be right back. I grabbed my purse and headed to the bathroom, my stomach already churning. Once inside, I locked the door and immediately stuck my finger down my throat. Everything came up. The prime rib, the wine, everything. I'd rather make myself vomit now than let whatever she'd given me work through my system. I texted Thomas. She poisoned me again. I'm sick. Need extraction. His response was immediate. On my way up. Calling police. 5 minutes later, there was pounding on the apartment door. Through the bathroom door, I heard Vanessa answer. Can I help you? NYPD. We received a report of a medical emergency. There's no emergency here. My future mother-in-law just isn't feeling well. Ma'am, please step aside. I unlocked the bathroom door. 2 officers and Thomas stood in the hallway. Mrs. Morrison, are you all right? No. I believe I've been poisoned. Again. Vanessa's face went white. That's ridiculous, she sputtered. She's just sick. Maybe she has a weak constitution. Then you won't mind if we take her plate for testing, one officer said. You can't just. Actually, we can. Mrs. Morrison has filed a formal complaint and provided evidence of a previous incident. We have probable cause. They went to the dining room, photographed my plate, bagged it as evidence. Andrew stood frozen, looking between me and Vanessa. Mom, what's going on? Your fiancé has been poisoning me, Andrew. At Thanksgiving and now tonight. That's insane. Vanessa shrieked. She's making this up? Am I? I pulled the recording pin from my collar. This has been recording everything, including you making my plate separately in the kitchen, including you taking it back when I went to the bathroom, including your comment about making it with extra love. Vanessa's father stood up. This is harassment. We'll sue you for what? Thomas stepped forward, showing his PI credentials. For investigating attempted murder? I've been documenting Miss Hartwell's behavior for 6 weeks. We have purchase records showing she bought Ipecac syrup before Thanksgiving. We have medical records showing Mrs. Morrison's blood contained traces of that substance after falling ill at your daughter's Thanksgiving dinner. And we have testimony from 2 previous fiancés whose family members became mysteriously ill after eating your daughter's cooking. The room went dead silent. Andrew's face was pale, processing everything. Andrew, Vanessa turned to him, tears streaming. You can't believe this. Your mother is jealous of our relationship. She's trying to break us up. By poisoning myself? I said. By ending up hospitalized? That's quite a commitment to jealousy, don't you think? One of the officers approached Vanessa. Miss Hartwell, we're going to need you to come to the station for questioning. I'm not going anywhere without my lawyer. That's your right, but you need to come with us. As they escorted her out, she looked back at Andrew. Baby, don't let them do this. Tell them I would never. Get out, Andrew said quietly. What? Get out of my home. Now. His voice was cold. Final. They took Vanessa away. Her parents followed, threatening lawsuits and retribution. Once they were gone, Andrew turned to me. Did she really try to kill you? I believe so. The evidence suggests it. Why? Why would she do that? Because I was in her way. Because she wanted complete control over you. Because she saw me as an obstacle to her perfect life. Andrew sat down heavily. I didn't see it. How did I not see it? You loved her. You wanted to believe the best of her. I'm so sorry, Mom. If anything had happened to you, his voice broke. I sat beside him and took his hand. But it didn't. I'm here. I'm okay. Because you investigated. Because you protected yourself. He looked at me with something like awe. You're incredible. I'm your mother. It's my job to protect both of us. The lab results came back 3 days later. My Christmas plate had contained a dangerous amount of ipecac syrup mixed with a mild sedative, enough to cause severe illness, potentially enough to cause heart failure in someone with underlying conditions. Vanessa was arrested and charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, 1 count of assault, and 1 count of poisoning. Her lawyer tried to negotiate, tried to paint her as mentally ill, as someone who'd made mistakes but not with malicious intent. But the evidence was overwhelming. The pattern of behavior with previous fiancés, the purchase records, the medical evidence, the video and audio recordings from Christmas. Thomas had built an airtight case. The trial took place 4 months later. I testified, showed the jury my medical records from Thanksgiving, described waking up in the hospital, explained the camera, the recording, the Christmas dinner. The 2 previous fiancés testified. Both told stories eerily similar to mine. Family members falling ill at dinners Vanessa had prepared, Vanessa's coldness toward their families, the control she'd exerted. The toxicologist explained how ipecac works, how much Vanessa had used, how dangerous it was. Vanessa's defense tried to claim I'd made everything up out of jealousy, that I was a controlling mother who couldn't let go of her son. But the jury didn't buy it. They deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced her to 10 years in prison with possibility of parole after 7. Miss Hartwell, the judge said, you systematically targeted vulnerable family members of men you claim to love. You put Mrs. Morrison in a hospital. You could have killed her. Your actions show a disturbing pattern of manipulation and violence. This sentence reflects the severity of your crimes. Vanessa cried. Her parents glared at me from across the courtroom. I felt nothing but relief. Andrew broke off the engagement immediately, of course. Moved out of the Tribeca apartment they'd shared. Started therapy to process everything. I can't believe I almost married someone who tried to kill my mother, he told me one day over lunch, months after the trial. You didn't know. She was good at hiding who she really was. But you knew. You suspected something was off from the beginning. Mother's intuition. And years of editing manuscripts about sociopaths. I smiled. He laughed, the first genuine laugh I'd heard from him in months. I'm going to be more careful from now on, he said. Listen to my instincts. Listen to you. I don't need you to listen to me. I need you to trust yourself. 6 months after the trial, Andrew started dating again. Slowly, carefully. He met someone, a kind woman named Rachel who works as a pediatric nurse. When he brought her to meet me, I saw the difference immediately. Rachel asked about me, my life, my work, my interests. She didn't try to change Andrew. She didn't make snide comments. She treated me like a person, not an obstacle. I like her, I told Andrew afterward. Yeah, that means a lot. She's genuine. She makes you happy. That's all I want. A year after the trial, something unexpected happened. I received a letter from Vanessa in prison. I almost threw it away without reading, but curiosity won. Eleanor, I've been in therapy here. Court mandated, but it's actually helping. My therapist says I have narcissistic personality disorder with antisocial features. Basically, I'm a sociopath. Or I was. I'm trying not to be anymore. I know this doesn't make up for anything. I know sorry isn't enough, but I need you to know I am sorry for poisoning you, for trying to hurt you, for seeing you as something to eliminate instead of as a person. The therapist says I saw you as a threat because you represented something I never had: unconditional love. Andrew loves you without needing to change you. I didn't understand that kind of love, so I tried to destroy it. I'll probably never get out of here early. My lawyer says I'll serve at least 7 years. Maybe that's what I deserve. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm just saying I finally understand what I did, and I'm sorry I did it to you. Vanessa. I read the letter twice. Then I put it in a drawer and never responded. Some people might say I should have written back, should have offered forgiveness, should have acknowledged her growth. But I owed her nothing. She tried to kill me. Twice. An apology from prison doesn't erase that. That was 2 years ago. I'm 64 now, retired completely from publishing, spending my time volunteering, traveling, and enjoying life. Andrew is engaged again, to Rachel. The wedding is next spring. Rachel asked me if I'd help with the planning. Not plan everything for her, just be involved as much as I wanted to be. I'd love your input, Eleanor, she said, but only if you want to give it. This is Andrew's and my day, but your family. We want you to feel included. That's the difference. Rachel includes me. She doesn't see me as a threat or an obstacle. She sees me as Andrew's mother and treats me with respect. Last Thanksgiving, Rachel hosted. She asked what dishes I'd like to make. I'd love to bring my stuffing recipe, I said. It was always Andrew's favorite. That sounds perfect. I'll make the turkey and sides. Andrew can do dessert. It'll be a team effort. It was the best Thanksgiving I'd had in years. We all prepared food together in Rachel's kitchen, laughed, told stories. No one got poisoned. The bar is low, I know. But after Vanessa, I appreciate the simple joy of a normal holiday dinner. People ask me sometimes if I regret investigating Vanessa, if I wish I'd just let it go, avoided the confrontation. Never. She tried to kill me. She could have succeeded. And if I hadn't stopped her, who's to say Andrew wouldn't have been next? Once he was completely under her control, once they were married, what would she have done to him? I saved both of us. Some people say I was vindictive, that I should have just walked away, refused to attend her dinners. But that would have meant losing my relationship with my son. It would have meant letting her win. Instead, I fought back. I gathered evidence. I caught her in the act. And I made sure she faced consequences. Vanessa will be eligible for parole in 5 more years. Maybe she'll get out. Maybe she's genuinely changed. But it doesn't matter to me. She's out of our lives. Andrew is happy, healthy, with someone who loves him for who he is, not who she wants to mold him into. And I'm alive, thriving, enjoying my grandchildren. Rachel and Andrew just had a baby girl named after me. Little Ellie is the sweetest thing. And when Rachel needs a babysitter, she asks me. When she needs advice, she asks me. When she makes family dinners, she invites me to help cook. This is what family should be. Not competition, not control, not poison, just love, respect, inclusion. If I died at Vanessa's Thanksgiving table, I would have missed all of this. So no, I don't regret a single thing I did to expose her. I'd do it all again in a heartbeat, because mothers protect their children, even when their children are adults, even when the danger looks beautiful and smiles sweetly, especially then. Thank you for listening to my story, dear friends. If something feels wrong in your gut, trust it. If someone in your life seems too controlling, too manipulative, too willing to isolate you from people you love. Pay attention. And if someone tries to poison you at Thanksgiving, document everything and get a good private investigator. Because justice is worth fighting for. Truth is worth pursuing. And your life is worth protecting. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to Voices of Zara, and share your thoughts below. Until next time, remember, trust your instincts, gather your evidence, and never underestimate a mother's determination to protect her child. Stay safe, stay smart, and always check who's preparing your plate.